Well, I must confess to you, but it's certainly nothing to be proud of. When I was much younger, I was really into motorcycles. The older I got, the bigger the motorcycles became, and I finally graduated to a BMW 1000R. Saddlebags, windshield, completely outfitted. Sent the gas tank to Germany to be painted just the way it should be. And I had 3 wrecks on it. And the third time, something seemed to occur to me. And besides feeling that I was out of coupons in some way, I began to think, wonder what kind of led to these accidents. And something occurred to me. Every time just before I had the accidents, I got to thinking, man, I'm good on this thing. I can really ride this motorcycle. I can take it up this hill. I can do all kinds of things with it because as far as my motorcycle riding ability, I'm special. Yeah, right. So you see, I know how James and John might have felt, although I don't think they had motorized donkeys or anything like that. But sometimes when you feel like you're special, you're cruising for bruising. I learned that very clearly. Jesus used this opportunity to talk to his disciples and teach them about where they are in the whole scope and the whole scheme of things. And he ended up saying to them and teaching them that if you want to be with me and you want to do what I am going to do and you want to be part of this overall movement, you have to realize one thing very, very important, and that is that you are to be a servant. And if anything makes you special, that would be the idea that you were to serve everyone. And he even goes so far as to being a slave to all. Her purpose in life was not to excel at anything except loving, perhaps. This was the idea that Christians hold throughout the world, and this idea that the thing that our faith boils down to is this thing called the Christian law of love. And that is that we are to love and we are to be present for each other and we're to be loving people with everyone, period. And it's times when we are confronted with tragedy, sometimes, or intense stress, that this commitment that we have to this law of love is going to be tested and tried, and we get to the point of where we really have to consider whether or not that is really what we're going to be. This idea of being a deeply devout and devoted Christian means that we have to function on 2 levels of ethics. And let me tell you this way in an example. Let's say we're all out having a picnic by the river, and we're singing down by the riverside and having all kinds of good times, and we see a small child floating by. And I know that everyone here would get up and do what we could, to wade out in the river or swim out or whatever to save that child's life. There's no doubt about that. Any of us would do that. And that's the level of ethics where we are willing to give what we can at the present to ease the pain or to prevent the harm or whatever. And then we get that child safe, and lo and behold, here comes another kid down through the river. And another one. And we save those 2 as well. But then we start to think, maybe we ought to walk upriver and find out who's throwing the kids in. You see, that's the second level of ethics, and that is to go beyond the present relief of harm or pain or whatever is happening and go move to the source. What can we do on that second level of ethics to prevent the future harm that may happen to somebody or anybody, or in this case, a small child? You see, it was Schopenhauer that really opened my mind up to this years ago, when he said there is something that happens within us, some realization, some core inside of us that opens up when we're in the middle of a crisis. And that core demands that we understand who we are in relationship to each other. And out of that core comes the understanding that your welfare and my welfare are all the same. That I care just as much for your welfare and what is happening with you as I care what is happening with me. Now that is a really interesting concept. I want to talk about that little French town, you may know about it, in the southern part of France, southeast part of France, Le Chambon. It's a little bit south and east of Geneva. And during the Second World War, from 1941 to 1945, this town is known for saving the lives of at least 1,200 children from the Holocaust. Now, they saved many more lives of adults in that they formed an underground railroad, getting people out of France and into Switzerland. This was not a town especially known for anything except the quality of their cheese and their dairy products. This was a town that had the Gestapo on their backs almost constantly. And they formed an underground railroad there and put people in different places throughout the village where they could hide them. Any child that was ill, they kept in the village and sent the parents on and raised that child as their own. Some of them found their children, some of them did not when they returned. But it was really interesting because every once in a while the Gestapo would come through and say, "Is this kid really yours?" and so forth, and people would convince the Gestapo that they were really their child and they meant it.